G'day Darkrealmers, it's horror author and illustrator Michael J. Elliott here with you once again, and today I'm going to be looking at a new Netflix original movie release called Death Notes. Hey, if this is your first trip to the Diaries, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, and if you want to keep up with the best in book reviews, movie reviews, creepypasta and trivia from the world of horror, then hit that subscribe button and that bell notification and you'll always be up to date. Okay, Darkrealmers, so a new Netflix movie. What's it about? Well, I'll let you know right now. Let's get started. Yeah. Well, Darkrealmers, Death Notes is based on a Japanese production, and it stars a young guy whose name is Light. I know the names are really... I don't know what it is about names. Anyway, he's the son of a cop, and his mother was killed by a mafioso, a gangster. But he got off, and so he carries around a lot of resentment about that, and a feeling that his father's not, should have been more outraged and done something more. Well, the story opens up with Light basically furiously copying homework notes, and a storm erupts, and down from the skies drops this book, which is a notebook which is sort of old and leather bound. He looks around, obviously thinking a plane's dropped it, whatever. But then the next scene, he comes across a bully taking advantage of a typical stereotype geeky type student. And one of the girls that he quite likes, Mira, tries to get involved and say stop. Well, Light gets involved, and for his trouble he ends up getting punched unconscious. And the principal, after everyone's left, says, "You've got detention." Well, in detention he opens this notebook, and that's where we get to see what the Death Notes are all about. And he meets or encounters a death god called Ryuk. And this death god explains to him that anyone you want dead, I can do it for you, as long as it's physically possible. So there's a nice line he says, so don't, there's no sharks coming out of toilets, stuff like that. But you can name the method and the way that they are killed. So his first attempt with the notebooks is quite frightening. He gets his revenge on the bully and writes in the book that let's have him decapitated. Well, that happens, and then he's convinced. He slowly gets involved with Mira, and he proves to her that this does actually work. And he writes the name of someone in the book, and then while he's doing that, they're watching a live news feed, and the person he's named has just been killed, or has killed himself. Now this starts off really interesting, Darkrealmers, because straight away you're thinking, oh, it's going to be a horror. It's this young boy is just going to kill Willem nearly. But it's not. Of course, he does get the revenge on the mafioso boss who killed his mother, and there's a wonderful scene how he envisions it being done. But there are rules with this notebook. For example, if he doesn't touch the notebook in 7 days, it'll go to a new owner. And there's hundreds and hundreds of rules. Well, Light decides that he can do a lot more than just, kill off a few people. He can change things, people who really need to die. And he explains this to Mira about a vision he has, for ridding the world of all the baddies. And he decides to come up with a nom de plume, and he calls himself Mira, which is Japanese for killer. And he arranges deaths, like, for example, prisoners in their cell have murdered themselves or are dead, and they've written, Mira is saviour and so forth. Well, this is where the story changes a little bit from horror to more of, you know, be careful what you wish for, or to use the old saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, because what he and Mira start is basically this whole cult of people around the world who believe this, you know, spiritual being is punishing wrongdoers, and, you know, it becomes a huge worldwide thing, and you slowly realise how, wow, you know, human beings, yes, this has taken on a life of its own. Well, of course, it's not long before the law gets involved, because, of course, they don't believe that it's, you know, a death god or anything like that doing this. They believe this Mira is some sort of killer who's somehow managed to kill these people, even though he's not physically there. They're, of course, thinking logically, oh, you know, like mind control gases and so forth. So there's a cat and mouse game that begins with Light and Mira as they try to escape the FBI, and another detective who I won't go into, the character's a little bit complex, but he's someone who knows, you know, how this is all working, that the people have to have their names, you know, revealed for them to die. So he never reveals his real name. And it's a really clever plot, Darkrealmers, okay? Going from, you know, like the concept of being a horror novel, horror movie, to about redemption, about thinking that you can change the world but not realising the consequences behind that. Now, this movie is actually the start of a new Netflix series. Now, I have no idea when it's coming out. There's a great twist at the end of the movie. And I got that feeling when I was watching it too, that this had the feeling that it was sort of leading somewhere. So I got the feeling that it was going to be a series. Also too, even though it's, you know, you've got, you know, Light and his girlfriend Mira, it didn't have that typical YA feel about it, okay, young adult. It's sort of skirted around that. It was a very interesting concept. That's what I can say about it, Darkrealmers. Look, check it out for yourselves. It's currently on Netflix. It's really worthwhile, because it's one of those movies where you think it's going to be very standard and formulaic, and then it turns around and presents you with a different set of things to contemplate, okay? So that's my review of Death Notes. It's a great little movie, interesting concept, okay, and very well executed too, by the way. And an interesting part is I sort of recognised the voice of the death god Ryuk. Well, it happens to be none other than Willem Dafoe. And that made it interesting for me too. So there you go, Darkrealmers. That's my review of Death Notes. It'll be interesting to see what the series is like, and I'll do a review of that when it does eventually come on. And so check that one out for yourselves. Now, if you've liked my review, please give us a thumbs up, and let me know if you want to see this particular Netflix original, or if you've already seen it, what did you think of it? I'd love to know your thoughts, okay? So that's it from me, Darkrealmers, horror author and illustrator Michael J. Elliott. I'll be back again very, very soon with another review for you. So until then, beware of death gods, and try to stay in the light. Bye for now.